Considering that people are worried about AI replacing workers, it's sadly ironic that some of them then try to use AI to replace spouses. With AI's expanding potential, some people seek to use AI for mimicking affection. Others, like me, decide to criticize it instead. I've already heard allegations of predatory monetization, but there's another problem that I think gets less attention but is more destructive. Humans should not be using AI to substitute relationships. I've heard someone else already say something similar, but I want to dive deeper, explaining some of my perspectives on this use of technology. First, let's examine the long lasting model of marriage. I'm going to use a Bible story here, but I think even if you're not a Christian, you can still understand the concept. In the beginning, God was arranging for Adam to have a helper in the Garden of Eden. But before making Eve, God brought forth many types of animals to Adam, none of which were suitable for the special type of help. It was after this that God then made Eve, another human, and that human was more intelligent than those animals, more sophisticated, and like the man, she too was made in God's image. Reading a story like this, we understand that humans connect with other humans. We still have connections with animals, but that is not the same type of association. And I think this contrast also applies to artificial intelligence. An AI is not an adequate substitution for social interaction. One metric we can look at is intelligence. For one observation, here's my machine learning program that I demonstrated in a previous video. Without over-explaining, here's how it works. The bots have a neural network with random connections. At the end of each round, bots with negative scores get their networks replaced with those of the top-performing bots. And then all bots are subject to slight neural changes. Over time, this process makes the bots improve in their performance. You might say they're becoming smarter, and in a way, they are, but they still don't have a deeper understanding of the arena as we humans understand it. The bots, even after improving their performance in the game, still do not understand why their approach to the game is more effective than the generations before them. They do not even know there was a previous neural generation, nor do they know what score is. They don't know what it means to win or lose, and even if they did, they wouldn't care. They're just following the instructions. But what about more advanced AIs? My project was simpler compared to something like ChatGPT. Well, even something like that has an indication that it's mimicking something that it doesn't understand. I've seen ChatGPT try to play chess, and it ends up playing illegal moves or moving pieces that have already been captured. Such behavior suggests that ChatGPT, though impressive, still doesn't have the higher intelligence that some speculate it does. Alas, remember that we're talking about the potential of AIs receiving undue favor from humans. For that, AIs only need humans to think they are worthy of the favor. But what about improvements to technology? Some have this mindset that these are just the early models of AI, and humans will make better models in the year to come. That is, if the AIs they created don't do it first. But let me point out that technology doesn't always get better. But generally, yes, technology becomes more advanced. Yet even then, technology doesn't always improve in the same way that we anticipate it will. But for the sake of argument, let's say that programmers somehow managed to make an AI that not only mimicked human behavior, but also understood what it was doing and had the ability of critical thinking to come up with new ideas or to challenge pre-existing ones. I enjoy using advanced AI, but let's not forget the topic of this video, romance, and general human relationships. AI can't replace those, because no matter how smart AI becomes, it will never have a soul. To elaborate on what I just said, I first want to compare a fictional ideology that I oppose. From what I've heard, the video game series Deus Ex partially explores the subject. In the game, some humans have mechanical enhancements, causing them to face discrimination from other members of society. These discriminators claim that mechanically upgraded humans are not truly human and thus don't have the same freedoms. To me, this doesn't make sense. If someone loses an arm or leg, that's just part of their physical body and we would still consider them human. Then from there, if they were to add a prosthetic limb to their body, they're merely attaching a piece of metal to themselves. That doesn't change their human status. These entities began human and stayed human even when they got a mechanical change. But for AI romance, we're talking about robots that were never human. A computer is a heap of metal, plastic, and silicon that got rearranged. And writing this reminded me of the story where God made Adam from dust. But don't jump to conclusions thinking that means computers are alive. Thinking about Christian theology, Christians understand that a human is more than just the physical material that's part of his or her body. There's something else supernatural about them, and that's a distinction. God can make a human have a soul, but we cannot make a computer have a soul. Alas, not everyone thinks this way. Some people don't think humans have souls and don't believe in objective morality. They might favor a human over a robot, but they still don't think either has true value. For a naturalist, he might then say that if we respect humans, why not respect robots also? Such a mindset is fallacious, and we might have different reasons for disagreeing with it. But I'm writing this document not just talking about apologetics, but also making predictions of what humans will do in the future. And I know that humans are often irrational, especially if it means believing something that they want to be true. We can use reason to dismiss faulty perceptions of AI, but some humans will regardless believe the AI fantasy that they think would be so cool. And they have much worldly incentive for wanting it to be true. I assume the average viewer of this video is already familiar with the concept of digital addiction. And I think it can happen with AI romance. Companies that have AI romance services have an incentive to get their users hooked, like how video game producers or social media developers have an incentive to get their users hooked on their games. And for a digital simulation, it's easier to hook someone. One way is just the accessibility of the service. Personally, I have been trying to find a real, non-robotic lady, although that's a challenge. It involves me looking for social opportunities, which of my social skills can use improvement, and I know many others in Gen Z can relate. And on top of that, I would still be looking for someone who meets specific criteria, such as being close in age and being a conservative Christian. And even then, she might already have a boyfriend. It would be far easier to stay at home and log on to an AI girlfriend site, and I'd be set up to experience a simulation of dating in maybe an hour. And at this point in the video, I want to read a comment that I found on YouTube that I think is worth addressing. Quote, "Men aren't choosing AI girlfriends over real ones, they're choosing it over having nothing at all." It's sad that some people have this mindset, so I want to say this. I think it is better for a person to remain single instead of trying to date a robot. I've already mentioned some of my difficulty with finding a spouse, and sometimes I wonder if I'll ever find a wife. But even then, I still have other relationships with peers that I already know. Of these relationships, not one of them is romantic, but at least they're still between humans. Many Gen Z people feel lonely. Don't let AI girlfriends pull you even further away. But convenience isn't the only difference. Once registered and having an AI girlfriend, it's also easier to control what happens, fine-tuning the experience. And I think that's one of the big reasons video games can be so appealing and so addictive. I heard a story years ago about a Korean man who got addicted to a game about raising a child so much that he neglected responsibilities toward his real child. Another mental weapon that AI romance has is emotional attachment. Some people become emotionally attached to characters in their favorite video games. AI girlfriends have interactivity too, and it's more intense. For participants of AI romance, that AI girlfriend is more than just an NPC blacksmith that they occasionally go to for a new pickaxe. These people are talking to digital women for extended durations about various topics of interest. And remember, they are trying to develop a romantic relationship that feels deeper than their relationships with regular friends and coworkers. Also, AI romance is more likely to be a one-directional relationship. And I do not just mean that the human loves the robot and the soulless robot doesn't have the same feelings. Here's something else. People can craft a specific AI character, and they probably use that ability to make an AI that expresses an interest in what the human partner likes. But that's not how human to human relationships work. In a marriage, both spouses should be making sacrifices for each other. I've been taught the importance of talking about or getting involved with the other person's interests. I would also say that, paradoxically, there is a personal satisfaction with doing stuff for other people and with talking with them about their interests. But back to what I said earlier. Some people do not listen to reason. They listen to what they want to hear. And with young adults now being familiar with technology and at the same time feeling lonely, this is a potent combination that I predict will make AI romance extremely popular. I also predict some people will condone it even if they don't participate themselves. Now, what does that mean for us who did not succumb to this deception? This part of the video is more speculative, but I predict this topic of AI will be, if not already, a new front in the culture war. Americans have long debated whether gay marriage is wrong, and there's that well-known phrase from the left, love is love. I anticipate they will, if not already, apply this phrase to AI romance. And I hear the left doesn't apply the phrase to other immoral romances, so maybe they won't use it this time, but I still think they will. Why? Again, sinful humans have bias towards what they want to be true. The left has less incentive to condone rarer types of immoral romance. And like I said, I think AI romance will be popular. There's also the case that a lot of the right-wing folks of the culture war have religious reasons for opposing these new ideas for culture. Remember what I said earlier when I was criticizing AI romance. I used some argumentation that was from a Christian perspective. There's a considerable number of leftists who are not religious. And there's even some religious people who are woke enough to condone gay marriage. So I wouldn't be surprised to find religious people condoning AI romance. With this potential new front in the culture war, I want to state to my stance, and yeah, I've already made it clear in this video, but I'll say it again. I think it's wrong to substitute a spouse with a piece of metal. Thanks for watching. I wanted to say that I did a retake of this essay, partially by cleaning it up in a way that I think is appropriate for minors. I didn't want to age restrict this video because I think some young teenagers can benefit from hearing this. Bad habits can develop early in a person's life, so I believe doing a retake was worth it for the possibility that the video could fight to prevent a child from being a victim. Other than that, if you want to see me talk about technology that I enjoy, you can look at some of my previous videos on such a category. I also published an indie game that I've been working on called Viastema Salvage. You can download it for free on itch.io. And that would be it for now. 안녕히 가세요.